Hi, my name is Arvlin Hill, and I'm the coordinator of family programs at the Everett's Children's Adventure Garden at the New York Botanical Gardens. Today, I'm going to share an interview I did with Tynisha Smalls, who's the Genomic Structural Botany Manager at the Pfizer Lab at the Botanical Gardens. In this interview, Tynisha talks about her work studying ferns, as well as her path to science. This is all in celebration of Women's History Month. I found my own path to science through going to herbalism school and learning about plants and their medicinal qualities and how they can support the body. At the end of this video, there'll also be a brief activity video on how to extract DNA from a strawberry. So stay tuned and let's get started.
My name is Tynisha Smalls. I am the Structural Botany and Genomics Laboratory Manager here at the Plant Research Laboratories at the Garden. I work with ferns, which are plants. They don't have any fruits or flowers, and I'm looking to see what makes them, what's their genetic background. Everyone has DNA. RNA is what's expressed. So I like to say, like, you all have DNA, it's what make you human, but your hair and your eyes and everything is different, and that's because of RNA. And so what I do is I take the RNA out of the plant and look to see what is making the leaf a leaf or a stem. I born and raised in New York City. I was not out studying in the park, playing in the dirt with plants, which is, I think, also something different from a lot of botanist people you hear. Like, they grew up going outside. I didn't do that. I went hiking for the first time when I went to college, which is where I first time I left the city, like, as well. I went to college in Massachusetts. I'm not like an outdoorsy person. I like working in the lab, but I also still like studying plants. And I graduated from college, Massachusetts, moved back to New York City, and I've basically been working. I started here at the garden a couple years after I graduated as a research technician, and just kept moving through the field. There are lots of different ways to be a scientist, because that's one of the things that I have sort of struggled with, because I don't have a plant background. I studied worms before I came here. So I don't always say I'm a botanist, but I am. I study plants. And there are lots of ways to be a scientist. You could be a writer and you can write articles about science, or you could be an artist who draws the pretty images of flowers that, like, I will put in a paper, or like, there are lots of different ways. People who take pictures that, you put in magazines. So there are lots of different ways for you to study science. So even if you don't want to be out in the field doing research, you can still be part of doing research.
Now that we've heard a little bit more from Tynisha Smalls about her work studying DNA in ferns, we're going to get a chance to do our own experiment to learn about DNA. But before we get started, I want you to take a moment to pause this video and ask a friend or yourself, what is DNA? I hope you had a great discussion about what DNA is. DNA is the molecule that controls everything that happens in a cell. Cells are the basic unit of life that make up plants, animals, and bacteria. DNA contains instructions that direct the activities of the cells and ultimately the body. Through this activity, we're going to demonstrate how DNA can be isolated from a strawberry using some common household items. So here are what we're going to need to do to extract DNA from a strawberry. The first thing you're going to need is some Ziploc baggies. Next, you're going to need a coffee filter, as well as strawberries, dish soap, measuring spoons, a chopstick or stirrer, some salt, some rubbing alcohol that's cold. I put mine in a bowl of ice, as well as 2 cups and a measuring cup. Once you have all your materials together, we'll get started in doing our experiment. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to get your strawberries, and you're going to take the part off of the strawberries, and you can put them to the side or in a bowl. And we're going to add our strawberries to our Ziploc bag. And you can use about 4 to 6 strawberries. I'm going to use for today. So just take the green part off, put it into the bag. Maybe I'll add one more. So I used a total of 5, and I can put my strawberries to the side. And then once you have them in your bag, you're gonna close the Ziploc baggie up. You're gonna mash the strawberries in the bag for 2 minutes. Okay, after straining out the mixture, I realized halfway through that the coffee filter was just kept ripping and it wasn't working. So I swapped out the coffee filter for a strainer and just used that to strain out the rest of the strawberry and the DNA extraction liquid into the mason jar, the second cup that you're going to be using. So I have it here, and I also put in about 2 more tablespoons of the DNA extraction liquid in just to kind of help it make its way through the strainer, because it was getting really pulpy, and as much as I was pushing and pushing, not much was coming out. So I added a couple more, about 2 more tablespoons of this into there as I was straining it. So now that I have my liquid into the second cup, you're now going to take your rubbing alcohol, which should be nice and cold. I put mine in the freezer overnight, as well as putting it into this ice bath to make sure it was really cold for this experiment. And what you're going to do is you're going to pour as much rubbing alcohol as there is strawberry liquid into here. So I have about a little bit under a half a cup, I would say, not even, of this in there. So I'm going to do the exact same amount into here. So I'll open this up. Maybe use my chopsticks. Awesome, there we go. And you can tilt it to the side, and you're just going to pour it into the jar. So it's about the same amount. And then you don't want to stir it. You don't want to mix it. And you're just going to wait a couple of seconds. And you should start to see, and I'll bring it closer, a cloudy solution on the top of the jar. If you look even closer, the DNA is starting to isolate. Within a few seconds, you should see a white cloudy substance. That's the DNA in the top layer above the strawberry extraction. So we'll just wait a couple seconds. But I can already kind of see movement happening throughout the strawberry. Okay, so you're gonna start to see a white cloudy substance that's on the top of your cup. And that is the DNA. And you can use another science tool. This is probably one that you have in your house. A spoon is often used by scientists to see if you can take it out. You can move it up here, put it on your spoon, and make observations and look up closely at the DNA that you had just extracted from a strawberry. So cool. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed that science activity. I wanted to show you a before and after of what it looks like. So this is before we put the rubbing alcohol in. You see it's a lot more like pink and a deeper color. And then after, it looks like this. So that cloudy substance on the top, that is your DNA that you had extracted from your strawberry. Thank you so much to Tynisha Smalls at the Botanical Gardens, who studies DNA as well as extracting and learning about ferns' DNA. Thank you for suggesting this awesome science activity. And thank you to you all for learning like scientists today. Happy Women's History Month, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.